There are really only three things you need to focus on if you're worried about your impact on the environment and other things. Like, if you want to be sustainable, it's really only three things you need to keep in mind, or do, or not do, I guess. And that is what this video is going to be about. So briefly, I know this isn't the type of video I normally make, and that's also because I don't normally make a specific type of video. So, yeah, there's that. But also, this is an excuse for me to show off all the other creative things I've been doing lately that don't connect to Project Lala or my game in any way, shape, or form. So, the first thing that you should be trying to do as much as possible is to consume less. Now, obviously, not everything I'm going to be saying will be possible for you to do because everyone's situation is different, obviously. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. I'm not trying to say this is the only right solution and you have to be perfect to follow all of these to a T, because I'm definitely not perfect, and I'm also not a hypocrite, so that'd be really stupid of me to try and make a video like that. I also forgot to mention this is completely unscripted. I obviously thought about what I was going to say beforehand, but I didn't write it down, because why would I do that when I can just, you know, say whatever comes to mind, re-record it 1,000 different times, because I said the wrong thing, because I don't know how to do this. Yeah, that's great. So let's actually get into it this time. When I say consume less, I don't mean eat less food, obviously. I mean, stop buying stuff you don't need. Like, everyone says this all the time, I feel like, but like, genuinely, I feel like a lot of people don't actually understand what they do and don't need when it comes to things that could be justified. Like, clothing, for instance, I feel like I did like a whole presentation on this before sometime. It's like most Americans have more than enough clothes. And obviously that's not everyone, but most of them have more than enough clothing. That means, if that is you, you do not need to buy clothing. It doesn't matter if your old clothing is out of season. If it doesn't fit you anymore, that's a different thing that I will talk about later. But I can't really think of a good reason to buy new clothing. So in that spirit of consuming less, obviously some people like to shop for fun. And obviously it's your money that you have earned, so you should be able to buy things for fun sometimes, right? And so I think if you have to buy something or if you really want to buy something that you don't need, then try and buy it from an artist or a small business, because no consumption is ethical under capitalism or whatever, but you can be a little less not ethical, I suppose, in that sense. Like, I personally don't need stickers. Every time I'm at a craft market, if I see an artist whose art I like, I will definitely be buying a sticker because, hey, I'm supporting someone. I know I don't really need it, but it's a want, and sometimes things like this are okay, obviously. And my last point in this section is that there are many places you should not be consuming from at all if you can help it. Obviously, if you are already trying to be sustainable, you're probably not buying things off of Shein, Temu. But you gotta realize a lot of these big name brands are also very unsustainable. Like clothing brands especially, I feel like a good 80% are fast fashion, unfortunately. So consuming as little as possible and making sure what you do consume is not from there. Probably the best thing you can do in this situation. I realize I haven't mentioned thrift stores, and that's because not everyone has a local thrift store nearby. A lot of people have Goodwills. If you're in America, I don't actually know if they're outside, but Goodwill sucks. If you don't know, or if you do know, Goodwill sucks. You should not be consuming from Goodwill or donating to them, unfortunately. Brings me to my second point, which is probably arguably more important. I don't know. As soon as I said that, I felt like these were equally as important. But anyways, you need to create more. If you can create more than you consume, perfect. But that's not reasonable for a lot of people. So just try and balance them out. Or start creating. Create art is what I'm talking about. Obviously, there's other things you can create too. But I feel like so much of what people can create is considered art. And I will definitely bring that up a little later. But first, let's talk about what creating more actually looks like. I feel like this first way is a little more daunting, and that is picking up a fiber art. So crochet, knitting, weaving, those are all the most common examples, I think, of fiber arts. All of these are great. I personally learned to crochet first, I've been crocheting for the longest, and then I recently learned knitting. I've woven a little bit before. I really have too many hobbies. You guys should know this about me by now. But anyways, I would say all of these are great in their own regards. I could make a whole separate video just going over each of them, which to choose if you want to start being more sustainable, because there are considerations to take in with each one. But I feel like fiber art can be one of the most fulfilling crafts that you can possibly do. This might sound a bit scary, but you also need to learn how to sew. Obviously, you don't need a machine. Everything I'm showing as an example was hand sewn entirely by me, obviously. And all you really need is a needle, and if you obviously you need thread, but you can get thread from any piece, any old clothing that happens to be unraveling. You could probably use thread for that just fine. I've done it before. It works. So sewing, obviously you can make your own clothing, but you can also fix your own clothing. You can upsize clothing that doesn't fit. See, I remembered. I came back to it. And there's also just so many other things you can make with it, so many other uses. Like, it's just a great skill to have. I will note that those are both sewing and fiber arts can be very time consuming because it's slow fashion, it's sustainable. That is one of the goals in sustainability. Part of it is the lifestyle and living more slowly, I suppose. But that's not, I know that isn't possible for a lot of people if you have to work really long hours. So that is where I get to my last part of creating that is probably the most accessible. And that is to simply make art. I've obviously already talked about fiber arts and sewing, but there's so many ways to make art. It's not going to look like an expensive oil painting because I feel like 90% of art isn't expensive oil paintings nowadays, especially. Literally, a paper and pencil is all you need. You don't even really need paper. You could draw on a napkin. Could draw on like cardboard. I actually have paintings on cardboard. I've painted on random pieces of cardboard to make postcards. Like, and that's just like the drawing side of it. There's so many other art forms that you could pick up. It's actually insane. Just like look on Pinterest or something. I don't know. Figure out an art form that you are interested in and just try it. I didn't even mention music. I completely forgot. You can also just sing, even if you hate your voice, like me. I don't know why I recorded this video, but sing. You can drum on like random trees outside or something. I don't know. If you have a phone or a computer, which you do if you're watching this, you can record that. You can probably mess with the settings in like GarageBand or something. You can make music too. It's genuinely all you need is creativity. And before anyone says that, yes, everyone has creativity. This is not some fabled skill that only amazing artists have. We all started somewhere, and you can easily start too. As I'm saying all this, there is one very important thing that I haven't mentioned yet, and that is that individual people aren't really the problem anymore, I don't think. Because I don't know, but like when I was younger in elementary school, we were all taught about how recycling will help save the planet and we all need to recycle. I don't know anyone who doesn't recycle, but the planet has not been saved yet. That is because the people who are running corporations are the ones that are not recycling because their corporations are not recycling anything. That is why fast fashion brands continue to exist and be very profitable. So, unfortunately, this means that if you just make these lifestyle changes on your own, nothing will probably happen. We're all doomed. It's hopeless. Except we're not actually doomed. Do you want to know why that is? Because there's more than one person. Amazing, right? If this video performs anything like any of my other videos, it will probably get a grand total of 10 views, and out of that, 2 people that actually watch the full thing. So, I don't expect much change to come from this. Unfortunately, my platform is not big enough. But finding community is probably what will cause this change, because if you look at real world examples, I think Target lost like millions or something because people stopped shopping there after they removed their DEI programs. So clearly, if you just consume less, then it sends a message. But if you're the only one consuming less, it's not a very loud message. So what you need to do, start by making these changes in yourself first, obviously. But then, like, be vocal about it. Encourage other people to do the same. Show people the art you've made. That will probably get them more interested, is the creation before cutting back on consumption. But I find it a lot easier to consume less because you'll spend more time creating more. So that can also come in time with simply creating more. Summarize. Firstly, consume less, obviously. That's typically the goal in sustainability. Secondly, create more. So actually, I feel like this is probably the biggest one. If you take away anything, just try and create more art. I feel like both other points could happen if you just started with creating art. And then thirdly, find community, convert them to your way of thinking, send them door to door, push your lifestyle on other people, all that good stuff. I'm joking, by the way. I'm obviously joking. Find community, inspire them to make lifestyle changes too, and remember that collectively we all have power. So that will be it for this amazing video that you definitely watched towards the end. I know no one's gonna. It's fine. I'm kind of used to it by now. My content can't really stand out in the same way that a lot of others do, because I just simply don't have the time or energy to make as much stuff, nor is my stuff really that impressive. I feel like comparison is a thief of joy, though, so I should stop right now. Goodbye. Thank you for watching to the end. Have a great day. I don't know. Stop buying stuff.